Well, from 18 teams down to 2, the moment that we all wait for every tournament weekend is upon us. It's time for the grand finals here of the first weekend of the Rally Cry Collegiate Series for Rocket League, presented by the U.S. Army and National Guard. My name is Galgan, alongside me, Relic, and we've whittled the field down here, Relic, to two very deserving participants. Everyone else by the wayside, but Oklahoma Christian battle their way through the semifinals and now find themselves up against that Southern Miss Coca-Cola side.
Most certainly. We know what OC Esports can do, very fresh in the memory. But Southern Miss Coca-Cola have something which not a lot of these teams have, which is legitimate RLCS experience on their side. Of course, Astro RLCS might have been a couple of years ago for him, but quite frankly, we were seeing him in a slightly deeper role than usually. Again, I say we usually expect to see. I have to remind myself. It was 2 years ago, but that deeper role, that experience that he brings to the roster was crucial in their win up against Pescados yesterday. 4-1, of course, a reminder if you weren't there with us, but their entire bracket runs looked really, really convincing, and I'm sure they would have been quaking in their boots looking at Maryville as their matchup for today, but a slice of fortune for them. They don't get to face them. They get a bye through to the grand finals, and now they've got to take this opportunity and run with it. I think this is going to be such a hotly contested grand finals, far closer than the series that we just witnessed.
And a reminder as well, as we take a look at the bracket, all those teams dropping out in the quarterfinals, UT Dallas, Pescados, Rowan, and Terps of Maryland, all managing to snag 10 points towards qualification of the playoffs. Fourth place, which has been given to Maryville courtesy of a DQ or forfeit, whichever way you like to put it. 25 points for them. We just saw the New Haven Chargers go down in the semis, but they've locked third place for 40 points. And now the lion's share of qualification points, 160 to be exact, to be split between our two grand finalists. The winner, 100. The loser, 60. But at the end of the day, all we're hoping for is the best of 7 that we can get here in the grand finals. Both of these teams very well deserving, and both of these teams having been featured at least once on stream thus far this weekend, so we know what to expect from these teams, right? There are certain roles that these players fill well. I think immediately of the passers, the lead assisting players, you've got G-Man on the side of OC, you've got Astro on the side of Southern Miss Coca-Cola, you've got some high scorers. Melodic Misery was a huge difference maker for Southern Miss Coca-Cola yesterday when we saw that team in action. Do we think that these teams are going to stay true to those identities? Because you know how much of a proponent I am for that as a key factor to win a series, or is some sort of change inbound?
For me, it's so strange, isn't it? Because you always want to say that you want to be proactive within the space, I should say, of a game within 5 minutes. It's the key word, isn't it? Adaptation. You want to see your players recognizing what's happening on the pitch and changing it up within the confines of a game to change your fortunes to hopefully get yourself with a win on the board. But you also want to be reactive in between those games. If there's something that is fundamentally not working, go away with the coach, take those 30, 60 seconds or something. And 30 to 60 seconds, or perhaps a little bit more, is what we're going to be taking here. A slight technical pause before we get into affairs. So we will be back to discuss a little bit more about this grand final after this.
Our generation has a choice. Turn away from the world's problems or chase them down. We refuse to sit back and watch them pass us by. Watch us fly ahead. Rise to every challenge and overcome anything. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
We get how uncertain the future is. We've come of age in a complex world, face to face with problems we didn't create. So what's going to happen next? We are. Because our future is the future. So we're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day and feed those left in the cold. We're going to do all this and more because we have an appointment with destiny.
So here we are, about to load into the grand finals, and another thank you to our sponsors at the U.S. Army and National Guard for helping us to present this Rally Cry Collegiate Series for Rocket League. We've had a long and arduous weekend for these players, plenty of time to think about what they're going to do, especially Southern Miss Coca-Cola, who did not play a semifinal today. This is their first tournament action of the day, Relic, and it's the grand final. It is put up or shut up right here, right now.
But I hope that the waters are warm and not too frosty, because OC Esports are coming off the back of a really smart performance overall, and they're looking to get things kicked off with a bang here, although this shot was not a bang. It was very weak and also went wide, so two factors certainly not going in its favor. Melodic Misery with absolutely zilch in the tank, taken out for their troubles, but they do at least get the ball into the opposition half.
Bold statement to make as well with the prior season's Vitality decal. You know, you've got the upgraded one in very many senses for this season, but you know what? I'm not going to judge. Whatever floats your boat and gets you in the goal-scoring mood, anything goes here, especially for Southern Miss, who want to try and get the early jump. But Oklahoma Christian are already locking things down. Midfield line, Zaf forced to play this one back center. That can only go one way, but there's no recipient of the pass immediately. And demoed away is Melodic Misery, so it gets tougher and tougher for Southern Miss to see their way out of the zone as Melodic Misery gets double demoed there. Shot taken away.
Ah, yes, that iconic upgraded decal, which failed to get them to the grand finals for the first time in a bajillion years. Yes. You can't tell me that the decals can't make a difference, Galgan. I've got my tin hat on to be sure. But to be fair, speaking of metals, there's plenty of shielding going up here for both sides. Their defenses have been particularly strong. Maybe a couple of creeps here and there for OC Esports, but I ain't seeing any goals on the board, so they must be doing something, right?
I don't know. I feel like the Vitality thing, I mean, I know the first thing that everybody watching this wants to hear about is French-speaking Rocket League players, because clearly we haven't had enough of that. But I think the Vitality thing kind of boils down to a little bit of a coach diff. You know, they don't have Farah anymore and the success on Carmine Court. But speaking of coach diff, shout out to Best from the Past for coaching this OC Esports roster, something I did not know was alerted to here. And yeah, clearly making some good work, has been working with these players for quite some time, has them in the right mental space, and hey, it's successful. I'm not going to tell them to do anything different.
My dude, this is the coaching era. All of a sudden, all of us are getting so much street cred, because guess what? It turns out the commentators do actually know what they're talking about sometimes. And great to see that OC Esports is finding plenty of success with the fish from history. Anyway, halftime, it comes and goes, and it is still 0-0. Perhaps to be expected. Some nerves, maybe, but also both teams just not wanting to concede first, I think, is kind of the prevailing narrative here.
I think there's a little bit of that, and at the same time, when you get to the grand finals, you know, both teams have had to play lockdown defense to get this far. So you're not going to get too many standard fare, you know, somebody takes a pot shot from the midfield line, and it just so happens to get really close to going in, or does all the way. You're really going to have to work for it. So both teams have an understanding of that. They have a respect for each other, and they'll do whatever it takes to set up these chances. Southern Miss Coca-Cola, however, have done a really solid job of demoing away the first attacker for OC. That allows them to get this transition play as Zaf takes to the skies. Backboard for Chili with a calm catch, collect, dribbling that one out, and Astro interrupts. But can OC see their way out?
As the plights become more desperate, I think we're going to start to see a few more demos where that came from infield, and they attempt to go for a pinch, which somewhat works. It at least gets it over the halfway line. Zap wins the 50. Chipkin just waited for G-Man to bring it out, but Melodic Misery's on it in a flash. Chicken again got support with Chili. Doesn't need them for the moment. There's the pass eventually downfield, and Zap there to receive. Just over 60 seconds left. OC Esports in the ascendancy, but very quickly stuffed out it. G-Man again just keeps it high, but it's merely to buy time for his teammates to become more boosted in the back line.
Problem is, earlier in the sequence, double the commit, double the power. Meanwhile, so much spacing for Oklahoma Christian. They take their turns with the ball, and Chicken says, "Mom said it's my turn." Jump over towards the top corner. Perfect placement.
Yeah, Melodic Misery in an awful position, really. I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to pop it up to take to the skies and utilize the boost to get it away, maybe utilize their flip, but really what they would have wanted is perhaps a little bit more of a solemn touch off to the side. Okay, you're keeping it locked in your own half for a little bit longer, but you're also taking it out of a dangerous area. But Zaf now down the other side, only had G-Man to shoot at, but shoot at them they did. It's a save.
Oh dear, placement needs to be picked up for Southern Miss. 30-odd seconds to go. Melodic Misery to pick up on the sidewall. Not a whole lot of boost to stay relevant, so Chili gets the first touch. Chicken, an immediate follow, knew exactly where to be, and Astro dissuades it from the back wall. There's only so much they can do to delay what feels like the inevitable here for OC. Another double up on the clear attempt. Not as successful as Southern Miss need it to be as they claw their way out of the zone. But the midfield is unforgiving. They finally find one through. Melodic Misery blocks high up out of the corner for Astro to tap wide. And Melodic Misery, no redirect allowed. Oklahoma Christian find one last clear. Ball almost to the ground. 0 seconds, but maybe one last shouting chance. Denied immediately. And Melodic Misery can do no more. Oklahoma Christian grab game 1.
Yeah, it's like a pencil that's been used straight for a week without being sharpened. It's a little bit blunt at the moment, this attack. Again, I've used this phrase before when we talk about the Chargers earlier in the day. Not for the want of trying. You could see that they were certainly looking to move through the midfield, and there were a couple of opportunities here and there, but there was nothing too flashy. There was no je ne sais quoi. There was, nothing particularly flamboyant about their play, and thus it's also unfortunately easy to read. And so when you're counting up the chances, well, there were only going to be 1 or 2 clear cuts, and on this occasion, it's their opponents who've taken home the spoils.
And again, goes back to the idea that you have to be exceptional when it comes to the grand finals. You're not going to find many standard fair goals that just find their way in to the back of the net. You've got to bring some sort of difference-making play. And we know that Southern Miss can do it. Obviously they can, but it's a question of executing when the time calls. Oklahoma Christian, on the other end, we have seen firsthand just earlier today what they are capable of, and it's not stopping anytime soon. While momentum may not always work in favor of the team that feels they hold it, something tells me about this particular setup that Oklahoma Christian have that lucky lady on their side.
Yeah, I don't think the Southern Miss have been sitting on their hands either. I mean, look, if you're smart, if you understand that your prepared series is no longer going to be going ahead, even just dropping into ranked for a little bit just to stay warm is. So like when we say they're coming in cold, it's not like they're not doing anything. Like they're clearly they've been playing a little bit, but there really is a step up between the ranked ladder and the Rally Grind Collegiate Series, actually properly competitive Rocket League at a collegiate level, at a level where you really have to take that next step up, and they will have to take that next step up and quickly, because now with a 1W in their pocket, OC have got a foothold in this series. Now we need to see Southern Miss find a foothold, but that first step comes with a goal.
Goes with possession as well. Clearly Southern Miss wants to take control, but they're being blocked out. It's Astro to do a whole lot from the same side of the field and cleared back the other way. Chili no peace, but still goes off the side. Melodic Misery picks things up. Horizontal, that lateral movement of the ball, tough to read for the defense that needs to break out. A passing play from corner to corner. Melodic Misery jumps early, but Zaf can do it all by themselves. And G-Man takes away from the sidewall with confidence there all the way through as Southern Miss look to rotate. Melodic Misery does it all themselves, however, from the corner on their own right.
I have a sneaking suspicion this did take a final touch off one of the defenders. Either way, yes, it did indeed. I think the angle a little bit too tight there, but again, just by forcing the issue, you're forcing someone onto the line to try and make a heroic save. Went the other way, and there is that first goal. Not just a goal, not just any goal, Galgan, but a go-ahead and a leading goal Comes early in the game, of course, but at least they're in the series at last.
And you're so correct about it all being about the pressure that you generate early on in the chance. Force the defense to get awkward, to start things off and find their footing. If Oklahoma Christian need to rotate around each other that confidently, you're doing something right if the initial start of the sequence is them scrambled looking for the save. Obviously, it's a dream touch for Melodic Misery to find in the corner, something like that sends so close to the target. But if you can replicate it time and time again, Oklahoma Christian have to patch that hole up and use more resources to block that away when they could be trying to make a more stalwart stance in the middle of the field. It doesn't matter, however, because the passing plays deep in the zone continue to haunt any opponent of OC.
Did you hear that in the background? That was the sound of G-Man making a demo, and that completely collapsed the rotational awareness of Southern Miss Coca-Cola. Is why they found themselves a little bit out of sorts. It's why that goal ultimately seems so easy to score, but the hard graft was put in. A response demo straight off the kickoff. That was a really nice attempted flick past their player, their Astro, but there is a response from OC Esports. They have come with their knuckle dusters on, and they force out a huge save fresh off the respawn from Astro.
Speed on the ground is so crazy from Oklahoma Christian as well. They know exactly how to move the ball. Speaking of Astro waiting at the top of the box, almost gets a chance at another redirect as Melodic Misery tries to take the playmaker role here for Southern Miss. And it nearly works out, but robbed away. Astro forced to make a quick save. Chili going to be the one to jump to this ball and uses all the boost to do so. But one miss, two miss, red miss, Southern miss. They go wayside, and it's right back into the bottom of their zone.
Very fortunate there, Southern Miss, and it's not over yet. Oh, woodwork rattled, nerves shattered, and again it's a post. A bit of woodwork that comes to the rescue for Southern Miss. Coca-Cola shake up their can. They're foaming at the mouth to get down the other end. That is for sure. Can they put it away? No. The defense is too strong, too tall from Oklahoma Christian, and right back down the other end. This game has certainly turned up the wick. Zapped with the interception. Down to Chili, maybe? No. Great dunk and into the 50.
Question is, what side from both teams do we get? Does this intensity remain a step higher than we've seen it before? Or do things calm down and somebody goes for the golden goal late in the game? It feels like that might be more of Oklahoma Christian's style, but that's not the touch you need. And G-Man breaks it up before it gets ugly. Southern Miss still at possession, however, as Astro rings it off the near post. A beautiful challenge. There goes bottom corner. Nobody saw it coming, but Astro gets him on top again.
Time for your quotable of the day. That's angles, baby. Oh, 90 degree. The ball caught perfectly in the aperture, and it finds itself nestled in the bottom pocket with just over 90 seconds left on the board. Southern Miss, they find a second go-ahead goal, and there's not too much time really for Oklahoma Christian to work with. Decent time to score, but they would love a third just to confirm it.
It's a great look, though, for Southern Miss. They're doing a solid job of getting touches, making sure there's no prolonged possession for Oklahoma Christian. Nice block from Melodic Misery. Keeps the ball in the zone. Fortunate to receive the second on the sidewall. Now Astro comes through, trying to force everybody to go. But G-Man has had enough with the T-Bone. Chili trying to go bottom corner. Followed up. G-Man next one up. Gets the challenge to stick. No boost. Astro, fake it till you make it. And it's honestly working as Zap picks up the pieces. Chili demoed behind the play, but Chicken turns it back around. G-Man can't get the redirect in time.
This is proper mind games. It's mental 5D chess out there. Everybody second guessing themselves, and Astro having to go across the entirety of his goal to make this save. Melodic Misery can't find Zap because they were bullied out of the play. Astro goes forward with purpose, but only finds Chili. Melodic Misery go for the disruption on G-Man. Zap has to, Melodic Misery actually picks up the save, but now they're all stumbling over each other. His shoelaces in a twist, and somehow that ball is like a force field erected over this blue goal at the moment.
Keeping a pin to the crossbar, sends back center one more time, but G-Man and Chicken are both back looking for boost, looking for one last push with 10 seconds to play. Can Southern Miss equalize the series? Melodic Misery looking for the clear, gets past G-Man, and Chili's too far forward. They bought heavily into the sequence, but they lost it all when they tried to go big. Now one last chance has to come from the bottom of the zone, but Astro punches it down, and we will not go with a sweep in the grand finals. Not that anybody in their right mind thought that we would, aside from fans of either school, understandably so, but we're in for a battle. We're in for a war between these two teams.
Ladies, gents, and MB friends, we have ourselves a series. And boy, am I very happy to say that, because goodness me, this was, like you say, a battlefield out there. There was so much tactical nuance in every single player's direction. We could see early on OC going for those brutish demos and bumps, but eventually there was something of a flair to Southern Miss's play, where they were able to not just avoid, but actually turn the situation on its head into a breakaway opportunity, which then forces OC back into a defensive posture and limits their attacking opportunity. So again, it was a game of limited chances. And this time, the coin has flipped the other way. 2 goals have been scored as opposed to the none. And we find ourselves at a tie series. Love to see it.
And it's a very interesting contrast to try and draw in my head, because I feel like what we saw from the prior series when Oklahoma Christian played their semifinal, it was the unforced errors that New Haven Chargers were able to take advantage of. Now, this time around, the errors are much more forced from Southern Miss. They're able to make sure that Oklahoma Christian are awkward on the initial defensive stretch, on the counterattacks and whatnot. And then from there, you try and segue everything into that prime goal scoring opportunity. That's what you really like to see from a high level team. The question is, can Oklahoma Christian make the adjustment now that they know, all of these mistakes that we're making are just awkward positioning? If we stay true to what we know, we can come out on top. Is that level of confidence gone? I don't think so, but we kind of need to see it reinvigorated here for OC as Southern Miss continue to hound them.
It's like stepping up a level, isn't it, from McDonald's to Five Guys. It might be a little bit pricey, the entrance fee, but you can be guaranteed that the overall product is going to be far much more worth it, and hopefully there's plenty more fries where that came from. As a rule 1, gotta respect it there, as we are down to a 2v2. I'm not sure who this is going to favor actually.
Oh, I don't know. I'd say, actually, it's Zath and Astro. I mean, I feel like I'd take G-Man and Chili as a 2. Something about this 2 makes me very confident in anything that they can do. See, this is why I wish I would just watch, more streams and watch them play 2s more often. Right over the rule 1. That was risky. I held my breath. I know you did too. Still no bucks coming through, however, as OC try to take advantage.
Yeah, that was it's almost like they avoided the rule 1 to not disrupt it. Like there was almost like an extra thought to, this is a gentleman's agreement right here. We don't get involved in this sort of politics, but G-Man's up for debate, and that's pretty convincing evidence in an argument if I've seen it.
Yeah, that's why I'd take those 2. You beat the first. Chili says, well, we don't need to beat the second. I'll just remove him from the game. A passing play to put the icing on the cake. And the rule 1 is over. Oklahoma Christian come out the benefactor.
So that's an early one for OC. It's an early one. Contextually speaking, yes, we've not really seen too many early goals, and we certainly haven't seen any big thumbs with the pre-read, and not on this occasion either, although it drops down perfectly for Astro, who loves that bottom right pocket, accuracy on point.
Regardless of whether or not the first goal is early, it's a very quick equalizer. And again, outstanding pressure that comes early on in the sequence for Southern Miss. I mean, when you think about it, any period of time is early relative to any other period of time. So everything is early if you just kind of stop thinking about time. But in order to avoid, talking about the theory of relativity and all those really fun things that I know people are tuned in to listen to during a Rocket League Grand Final, why don't you take it back here as we get out of the early stages of gameplay?
That's the sort of mental gymnastics that I used to justify my late dissertations with. But still, it doesn't. Again, it's all more fuel into the fire for both of these two teams. As ultimately, it doesn't matter how early or late the winning goal is scored, as long as it is a winning goal for your side, and you can determine to make sure that it doesn't go towards Southern Miss. Coca-Cola G-Man, that's a lovely redirect and interception indeed from the Southern Miss defense. That was a really scary moment as we head to half-time. Chicken unable to influence this play much further, although Chili's looking to try and take down Astro. No, not quick enough. G-Man up very early, and look at this, Chicken's taking off Zath. The melodic misery has to rotate him really sharp, and the 2v1 isn't going to be successful either.
You can see the vision, though, make it a bit confusing. Astro just jumps in. You don't really know who's taking the shot, who might be going for a demo. But meanwhile, the other way, G-Man wanted that. It's intercepted quickly. And here comes Southern Miss to try and make a difference. Chili plays slow, gets a good challenge. It's a pass out, however, but Chicken, what a read. Early block. Have to have confidence with a jump like that, and surely displayed it. Chili does the same. G-Man now gets a center pass out through the corner. Cannot dissuade any defenders away, however. As a strong stance from Southern Miss gets yet another clear, and we get to this very, very familiar territory here. In the closing stages of Game 3, teams locking things down, looking for that go-ahead goal, potentially as late as they can get it.
Jumping Gazelles out there with all the pre-reads going on. Demo midfield, but it ends up back with Chili. Goes for the direct. G-Man, that's lovely, but a little too high for comfort. Chicken back into G-Man. That's an open net, and they're going to plant it 2-1.
Give G-Man the ball, and it will end up where it needs to go. Beautiful pass off the corner, pulling out the protractor to get the angle just right. And G-Man is still relevant against a defense that cannot respond in time. They try to take the ball away before the pass happens, but once the pass connects, sayonara. That's the second goal for Oklahoma Christian, and nearly a response off the kickoff for Southern Miss. Melodic Misery once more off the back wall, but Chili, too confident, plays it out to Astro. Zaf can't jump in time, and they're forced to back up.
Picking up plenty of resources though. Melodic Misery into the midfield, looking for that Duncan, gets it, shot on target, Chili saves. Misery back into the center, but that's going to fly out into the blue half, and G-Man is on the chase. Astro won't win this, but he is able to get a piece of it. Chicken though wins the follow-up. Oh, that's excellent! G-Man, like an angel from the heavens, finds himself falling in the perfect position.
Just screaming, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, and it's absolutely right on the mark. You cannot make that one better than it appears. Oh my word, that's the goal that wins you the series. We're still far out from the conclusion, it feels, but Oklahoma Christian, every single time you think they've met their match and it's going to be dead even, they hit another gear, they open up another stride, and they're just making silly work here of the defense, playing with their food.
Save of the game from Melodic Misery. That was in, and then it wasn't. But then it was a 2v1 Galgan, and OC Esports did not panic. Chili makes it number 4, and that really should be the game at least, tied up with a lovely bow on top. They have just elevated in the last minute or so, and Southern Miss really don't know what hit them.
And it's a beautiful thing that we get to see at least 2 more games of this. Southern Miss can try to extend it all they want, but all they're thinking about now is going next, trying to get one for the road. Astro out to in, trying to fade that one away. No pass to be had as Chili, confident as ever on the defensive end for Oklahoma Christian. Time ticks down. Nothing else matters. Garbage goals be darned. It's Oklahoma Christian to grab game number 3.
It's the Bass difference, Galgan. Clearly, there's been some encouraging. That man can get real passionate. We both know this. That guy can get loud. He can get hype. And when you've got that sort of vibe in your corner, anything is possible. And that was a lift-off moment, it felt like, for OC in this series. Southern Miss, slowly but surely working their way back into the series. They pick up a game win. They look super confident, but then that confidence has been shattered. Big test of their morale coming up now in game number 4.
I love that you mentioned that, though, because I'm thinking the exact thing where you get these goals oftentimes in matches like this that feel like, from our perspective, the viewer, the spectator, anybody else outside of the players, it feels demoralizing to concede in the fashion that some of these goals for Oklahoma Christian have been scored, especially that last one from G-Man just falling into the perfect place. You know, whether or not they're able to calm out that that's a passing play or the shot just ended up there and G-Man just ended up falling, no matter how you stretch it, the comms on the other side for Southern Miss have to be like, how does that even happen? How do we move on from this? And when you're asking yourself those questions, instead of what can we do, you're focusing on what can they not do. That's when you get into a very, very difficult territory.
I could not agree with you more. Literally, it's one of the worst things when you look at a goal and you understand that there was nothing that you could do to stop it. You did everything correctly. You did everything by the textbook. but the textbook didn't account for that. And so, yeah, it's so hard to bounce back, but you simply, I mean, you just have to, Galgan. This is where we joke about the mental game and 5D chess and all this and giga brain plays, but really, this is now about literally the power of friendship and sticking together and believing in your ability to overcome such a game.
I do like this idea that we keep coming back to. Well, the power of friendship may not be strong enough to save a shot like this because, yeah, G-Man just clearly overwon, pancake down past the second, and Astro front row seats to the first goal for Oklahoma Christian 30 seconds into the game. Again, it's just a calamity of events that are leading to this moment. What are Oklahoma Christian not capable of? It's such a pertinent question because every single time they provide a response.
Oh, get the cleaning products out. This was filthy. Just the lift on the pass as well. Fantastic comms and the connection that G-Man gets. The power generated at an angle, let's not forget as well, means that this is rapidly descending into dangerous territory for Southern Miss. There's losing a game badly. There's losing a game just by pure skill dip. And then there's the fallout. And right now, the nuclear button is close to being pressed here.
Feels like we certainly need to see the big step up. I have my premonitions about a sequence like that. G-Man just moving too quickly. The initial touch found, cycles for that pad right there, and then beats Zaf over the top. So many times Southern Miss have struggled to gain possession for themselves in this series, and that's what's kicking them right now. No player has really had a chance to shine in quite the miraculous way that we saw yesterday, and that's a problem for them. Oklahoma Christian are happy to take the ball wherever they need. I mean, heck, they'll even save their own shots if they have to.
New Haven Chargers are literally sitting next to Southern Miss on the bus right now saying, yeah, that doesn't feel great, does it? Going down 3 goals within the space of a minute. Astro riding this challenge, but still, it is the oncoming storm. Sound the sirens because we're going positively tropical out here. Chilly, looking to dunk on Astro. It's a save, but again, not much forward momentum for his team. And in fact, it's going backwards so quick and aggressive. This press from OC Esports, finally a chance to breathe, but for how much longer? The transition's made it to the other side of the pitch, Galgan, but there's no real shot opportunity, especially not with a double commit like this. Chile, and big save from Melodic Misery there. That was surely a 4.
Yeah, they've got to be thanking their lucky stars they don't concede their Southern Miss. Melodic Misery was doing all the work offensively, and then the second that Astro or Zap get a look at the play, they double commit. It spells disaster. They lose control from that point onward, and Oklahoma Christian find a goal. They're not resting on this lead. No matter how large, they'll keep scoring until they prove their point.
This is a capitulation for Southern Miss. I really didn't want to sound too harsh, but we are getting into that territory. Conversely, we've got to say, OC Esports, just wow, what a step up in quality. They really were reserving their best until last, and New Haven are probably wondering how they managed to score so many goals against this team. Speaking of, here's a 5th.
Now, listen, here's the thing that we have to talk about. If this dominance continues, if we get the 5-game finish for Oklahoma Christian, much like the European RLCS that finished up today, yes, Carmine Corp took the win, but they didn't play against Vitality. Arguments aside about whether or not Vitality would have done it despite the fact that they, didn't make it to the grand final, I'm kind of starting to think the same thing. Southern Miss aren't gone just yet, though. There's still about half the game to play. Right off the kickoff, it's Melodic Misery over off the back wall. 1 miss from Chicken is all it takes, and hey, that's your foot in the door.
It's a first goal for Zath in the series, though. Halfway through game 3. It just goes to show how well OC Esports have locked him away. And Melodic Misery, someone who we have praised plenty for their offensive acumen. They've been more notable in defense, for good reason, admittedly, but you don't want to see your most potent player in your own third half the time.
See, that's always such the difficulty here, and to formulate my point, do we have a second? It's right off the near post. to finish up, the KC versus Vitality kind of felt like OC Esports versus Maryville, and we don't get that matchup this weekend. But hey, as soon as I start talking about putting this series to bed, someone's thrown off the covers here. They're a bit upset that I put them away that early. Southern Miss Coca-Cola starting to mount a little comeback here.
3 goals in just shy of 2 minutes. We have seen stranger things happen. Unfortunately, I haven't seen the show, so I can't make a joke off that point. But nevertheless, let's see what Southern Miss still have. At the very least, if there are no more goals scored, then they've scored the last 2 goals in the game, and they can, go forward with a little bit more pride in their performance. But by that point, it will be match point. However, let's put a comma on that sentence, Galgan.
There are many things that I feel like we could add to the sentence at this point in time. Mostly just smashing my keyboard in confusion. I don't think I'm at that stage yet, but we're primed and ready to wear out all of the keys as quickly as possible if this continues, because it's been a scoring pace we haven't quite seen from Southern Miss just yet, and even with that mistouch off the back wall, there's not an immediate step up from Oklahoma Christian to take possession back. They're kind of just letting Chile run amok. Now G-Man will take over control, try and play it slow, waste as much time off the clock, and go for a ground pinch while you're at it. Chile just goes right underneath the bar and reminds everybody, this is Oklahoma Christian's grand final to lose.
Had him in the palm of their hands, OC Esports. That's great. That's a nerve settler, first and foremost, but that's great resolve and guile to stick to your game plan, as we were talking about earlier, and find that extra goal just to give them, just to rub a little more dirt in the eye, so to speak. Big save from G-Man, still not over yet with 60 seconds left. 3 goals still not impossible. We're starting to get into miraculous territory, however.
Almost past G-Man on the initial touch. Nice pop. Nearly works out for Melodic Misery. They're forced to back up as Astro now has a decent amount of boost to center. This goes for the butt, Melodic Misery. Somehow the shot saved away anyway. Zap to the back wall, forcing everyone up as Oklahoma Christian extend themselves with little boosts, but same can be said for Southern Miss on offense as they use all the resources to keep this one relevant. Force 2 to the back wall. It's still too high up. Zap fluffs it into the ceiling rather than the goal, but Chicken misses the flip, and it's scrappy on both sides, but so much time wasted and no goal scored for Southern Miss means that we're going to a triple match point for the grand final.
Too many seconds eroded, too much time wasted. Got scary for a hot second there for OC Esports and Southern Miss Coca-Cola with their most fruitful game in front of net. Unfortunately for them, that most fruitful game has also come at the same time where OC Esports had their most fruitful game, which, considering that they scored 5 in the previous, is legitimately quite impressive. So as you say, triple match point. Now comes the hardest part, arguably, Galgan, because you've seen enough from Southern Miss to suggest that they can still make a fist of this. But it's always that question, isn't it? That one-word question, or not the one-word question, but a couple words anyway. Will they?
And
Is they, though?
Is they, though? Is they really, though? I do not know, but I know one thing. Fruitful games are what I'm here for, because it could pair well with the chicken and chili meal we've been served from Oklahoma Christian. Not really sure where to fit G-Man in there, but maybe he's the one devouring, because he literally ate. Sorry, that was my appeal to the younger masses out there. So thank you. I try.
For real,
listen,
for real.
for real, bet cap. I'm going to stop this bit right now. Hard cut to that one. It is 3-1 in the series for Oklahoma Christian, and I think you and I are both pretty convinced that they can take this win. But if ever there was a window for Southern Miss to be able to find their way out, find their way to Game 7 at the very least, and make this go the distance, I think it has to come from passing. Honestly, there are chances for all players to pull off something amazing. Melodic Misery had a couple of chances doing it all alone on the offensive side, but what bugs me the most is that what immediately follows that is a double commit from Astro and Zaf, and then they immediately get countered by Oklahoma Christian. You can't have something like that happen. If you're going to allow your one player to do everything on offense, you've got to back up, respect the space, respect the clear from OC.
Well, we're rocking up like Steve Buscemi then to potentially the final game of the day. Hello, fellow Rocket League enjoyers. Let's hope that, at least for Southern Miss's sake, that they go out with a bang, or indeed prolong this series just a little bit more. And certainly this is a good opportunity straight off the rip, but Chili's there to make the save. Here's Zath with Astro lurking in the center. Connection made, but also with the defender. Chicken misses out. Melodic goes low. Chili again with a save. And looking for the recycle here. They're not going to be able to get out here. The breathing apparatus is still required. The copium is in full force. And Southern Miss continues to rattle anywhere near the net, but not into it, Galgan.
Yet because of that, you still feel confident in Oklahoma Christian to get the clear. The one team that you expect and accept the slow roll out of the defensive zone, but it's worked. It's paid off. G-Man with a challenge here. Chicken is just waiting ever so patiently as Chili goes off the side wall, and Chicken wins that race regardless. It's Zath to carry over to the side. Nice little pinch off that side wall. G-Man is off of the enemy back wall and still somehow sends it just outside of that near post. A beautiful chance for Oklahoma Christian to try and catch a sleeping Southern Miss defense on the counterattack, but they'll have to go a more traditional route courtesy of the demo. G-Man off the ground, and it's saved by Astro.
It really is quality over quantity, but ultimately it came down to fisticuffs that led to the opener for OC.
Every moment, though, I'm so confident that that clear's coming through. You commit 2 players to the corner. Somebody's got to make contact. But despite everything, it's still Oklahoma Christian being as oppressive as ever, winning the races to those challenges and doing so ever so confidently. Melodic Misery up to the back wall. It's a beautiful pancake down. Again, Astro, Zath, they respect the space. They back up a little too far. They can't immediately capitalize on something like that, just waiting for OC to play it right back into their hands, which doesn't always happen. But when it does, you've got to strike while that iron is hot.
I feel like they need to find out the prescription and serve up OC Esports a bit of their own medicine. Lack of demos, lack of bumps. I really think this would change the fortunes of Southern Miss. Here we got Chicken, for example, afforded so much time on the line. Melodic Misery, this is surely it! No, it's not! Big moment, opportunity spurns, and again, smokescreen. Finally, Melodic Misery has them all singing from the same hymn sheet.
Take this 10 seconds to relax right now. You got away with a goal in a sequence where you should not have gotten one right there. For the amount that was committed to for Oklahoma Christian, how much they flubbed that defensive play, if you don't come away with a goal right there, completely demoralizing. But it's tied. We've got just about halfway to go, and this is the first of 3 steps for Southern Miss. So much more work to be done, and yet finally it feels like there's a breathing hope.
Spamming, take the shot, nice one, one. Hey, what do you know? miss a way harder shot, or miss a way easier shot, I can say, and absolutely nail the way harder one with the defender bearing down on you. It's a lead for Coca-Cola.
And it's credit where credit is due. A lot of these opportunities in this lobby spawned from an initial miss. Players trusting so much that the first player to the ball is going to send it somewhere. You play to that angle, it doesn't come through. You've got to make that micro adjustment to immediately get the ball on target. Chicken with an air dribble bump, it works out. And G-Man somehow stays afloat above all the rest of the defense at the crossbar, and we're tied again.
There's a big send early on. Astro completely removes himself from the play by going for a challenge that he was never going to win. And by that point, OC Esports, with their mechanical prowess, have that defense on a plate. And again, they win a kickoff. Quick transition into Melodic Misery. That's going to fly over the net. Melodic Misery still there. Astro lurking on the edge of the D here. Astro back in, but it's thrown away by Chili.
We are flying through this game 5, it feels, despite the fact we've had 4 goals already, whittling things down. The ball lent up in suspense there, but for a brief moment to the midfield line goes Chili, trying to find Chicken for a setup. Takes it up high, looking for G-Man center, but a bit slow to the play, just playing the space and understanding that Southern Miss are stretched out thin. Chili gets it center, G-Man puts it back, it's dead center, bullseye. Oklahoma Christian on top.
Double commit over double commit, but eventually it just falls on Zath. waiting, but there was no reinforcements willing to bail him out. And with 1 minute 34 left, it's a crucial go-ahead goal for OC Esports as Southern Miss continue to struggle for breath.
Do or die here for Southern Miss Coca-Cola in the tournament. They've gotten this far and may feel hard done at the result if it shakes out this way, but Oklahoma Christian 80 seconds away from crowning themselves champions of the first weekend of play here in the Rally Cry Collegiate Series for Rocket League as Chile with another challenge. It's an open ball for Oklahoma Christian. A tiki-taka play. Bing, bang, boom. Fourth goal.
It's tiki-taka, it's positively European, and I'm here to see it. Round the corner, Bob's your uncle, cliche country, baby. 4-2 for OC Esports, and there really is not much time left now. Southern Miss have to score, and they have to score soon.
Melodic Misery, the first to take the touch after the kickoff, goes all the way to the back wall. That's to come through. It finds some open space, and they still have a chance with 60 square.
It's set, isn't it? It's a last-minute hoo-ha, a last-minute showdown, a race to the finish for OC Esports, at least for Southern Miss. If they somehow pull a win out of this game, they then have to win another 2 on the bounce, but they can't be thinking about the DLC just yet. They've got to finish the main story, and G-Man is ready and willing to make sure that this story goes in their favor, but breakaway, no one there to chase for Southern Miss. They're still recouping their resources. Zaf around the corner, it's another big save from the chicken.
Great first shot. Astro follows through with another, and nobody can stretch there in time. Never say die for Southern Miss. They've equalized.
Oh my word. This is actually happening, folks. 4-4. But OC Esports have scored more. Southern Miss, they really are going up another level, but is it enough? They need a fifth, whether that comes through virtue of OT or in regulation. Let me tell you, the latter is far more preferable.
It's a big run. Astro with the initial flick forces 2 to go, but here's Chile on the follow. Midfield line locked out. Melodic Misery getting boxed out of the sequence, but Zap gets it over the top. G-Man alone on an island defensively, and Melodic Misery tries to punish. It goes center. Astro can't catch and collect. Has to settle for the sidewall, but goes away. Chicken faked off the play. Zap has a chance to push it through. Beats one over the top of the slow roll from the corner. It's a center pass, blocking Chile on the clear, but it may not be enough. One follow through from Melodic Misery, and oh dear, down into the ground, mere inches from the goal line. A deciding golden goal in Game 5. It'll be the 5th of the game. Will it be the end of the grand final?
Oklahoma saved by the buzzer. The OG was very close to fruition there, but now they're stuck in their own half. Southern Miss, they've got to go from square 1 all the way to square 10, but they are really making hard work of it, aren't they? Zap bouncing around like a kangaroo down in Oz. Finally, Melodic Misery able to break away, intercepted back into the center. Melodic Misery is not ready to receive that just yet. G-Man with the save, Chicken with the transition, downfield, shoots hard, shoots firm. 5-4, OC winners.
And they end it as clinically as they began. If anybody ever had a doubt, you've got to wipe that from the slate clean as Oklahoma Christian, a confident run throughout the entire tournament here this weekend. It's a win in the grand final. Oklahoma Christian managed to do it, dropping only 1 game the entire time, and it's the one they concede here in the grand final. A dominant showing, well deserving of the 100 points. Congratulations, Oklahoma Christian. What a series.
So deserving. And they really just, we talked about building upon building these blocks and these incredible like statues and foundations upon which we're seeing adaptations and players reaching new heights. But one team has to fall slightly short, and sadly on this occasion it is Southern Miss. You gotta respect the fight that they showed there in that final game. There was many moments where I'm thinking, wow, they're actually going to go for the full send here. They are probably going to get a second game, but probably isn't definitely in Rocket League Galgan, and that has been proven time and time again. And here we just see the team that finds that eye through the storm, that needle in the haystack. Rotation opened, and as was the goal.
And we take a look at some of those goals and some of the action from the series in the replays. Again, what sticks out to me for this grand final is when we saw Oklahoma Christian go up against New Haven, there were times where New Haven had that it factor to get an early lead. They forced Oklahoma Christian to make the comeback, and they were fully capable of doing so. You get a little bit of a flip this time. Oklahoma Christian feel like they're done with playing the underdog in any individual game of Rocket League. They want the early lead. That forces the hand of Southern Miss, and they showed that hand a couple of times, but it feels like if you get it earlier rather than when we did, we get a lengthier series. Instead, it's Oklahoma Christian showing just how confident they can get at any stage in a Rocket League series and proving that they had their stamp marked on this grand final the entire time.
It's one of the greatest what ifs, actually, when we think about it, is what if that OC Maryville series did happen? Because as much as I would say that had had Southern Miss, had Southern Miss, yeah, it was Southern Miss. I'm getting so confused right now. I'm bamboozled. Had Southern Miss beaten Maryville, I think we would have seen a much better start to this series for them. And I think it might have very well gone to Game 6, Game 7. That's one thing. But the other thing really is, would they have beaten Maryville? And in which case, how does Maryville stack up to OC? Like, are they really that dominant, or are OC really making that next level? You know, are we really talking about a team entering the upper echelons of the collegiate scene? There are so many more questions to answer now after week 1 than before week 1, but that's part of what we've got to love about this series, right? Is we've got 3 more weeks of regular bracket league play to find out, and then of course the top 16 proceed to playoffs. And that's worth considering as well. 100 points on the board for Oklahoma Christian. And that is surely enough to already guarantee their place in the playoff bracket.
Right. This is exactly one of the conversations I had with Bass, actually the coach for Oklahoma Christian, in the break before the grand finals, where we were talking about the point distribution. I mentioned it's likely that if you win one of these events, you set yourselves up to at least clinch a spot in the playoffs. But the way Oklahoma Christian played this series, I think they want to do a little bit more than clinch their spots. Certainly looking for one of the top seeds. They'll get a strong start towards that playoff bracket once we get to that stage. But again, we're a long ways away, and as you say, there are plenty more questions to be answered about all of these rosters as we continue on through the Rally Cry Collegiate Series. But what a perfect punctuation mark we have for week 1 and this first tournament play. The single elimination bracket is cruel and unforgiving, but for Southern Miss Coca-Cola, they managed to make it all the way to the grand finals, but that is where the road stops. Oklahoma Christian, your champions here of week 1 of play of the Rally Cry Collegiate Series presented by the U.S. Army and National Guard. It is a swift 5-game defeat, the only game loss for Oklahoma Christian all tournament long, but it doesn't matter. They've got the wins on their side. The championship is theirs and 100 points towards qualifying for the playoffs.
I was going to say, in the Battle of the Birds, it really is the Battle of the Eagles, isn't it? You Americans, you love your Eagles, but I tell you what, they are majestic beasts, and it was a majestic bracket. We had so much fantastic action to enjoy over the course of this weekend, and as has been mentioned many times, but hey, if you've just turned up, first of all, you've missed the entire show. Well done, but the VOD is available. But there is so much more action on the way. Confirmation then of OC Esports taking to the top of the leaderboard with 100 points. Miss Coca-Cola with 60. Of course, New Haven picking up the 40 with Maryville, an unfortunate DQ/FF for today's action. Focus elsewhere. I think just on that point, in terms of the bigger picture, I think OC would do themselves justice to turn up for maybe one more bracket. I think 125 to 150 points, you're almost certainly safe. So I think just turning up for one more bracket, locking in those points, and then of course, relaxing or gauging where your opposition are for the upcoming weeks. I think that's probably going to be the play. But I'm not the coach, Bass is, and I'm sure that he has got a pretty good mind on what's good for his squad. But what's good for us and for the audience, of course, is that we're going to be back here, same time, Saturday next week, of course, 1 p.m. Pacific time, not just for the Saturday, but for the Sunday as well. Lock it into your calendar for the next 3 weeks now. Of course, week number 1 is done, and then we've got the playoff bracket, but we'll get to that in due time. Any final thoughts from yourself, Galgan, before we wrap up here?
I think that there's plenty to play for all of these schools, especially some in the middle of the pack that we didn't quite get to see, at least on stream here. Obviously, we'd love to see more from them. There's more to fight for. There's a small distribution of points when it gets to, even as far down as 5th place, all the way down towards 16th. So there is plenty to fight for these teams. I love to see the competition increasing at every single level. And obviously, we've still got so much more where this weekend came from. So please do stick around. Make sure to follow Rally Cry on all socials. And again, thank you so much for tuning in to week number 1 of the Rally Cry Collegiate Series for Rocket League, presented by the U.S. Army and National Guard. Same time, same place next weekend for week 2 of qualifier action. We hope to see you there.
We get how uncertain the future is. We've come of age in a complex world, face to face with problems we didn't create. So what's gonna happen next? We are. Because our future is the future. The life we have chosen has prepared us for this. So we're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day. We're gonna save families from disasters and feed those left in the cold. We're going to do all this and more because we have an appointment with destiny. We invite you to join us. The next greatest generation is now.